Hi guys, we're going to go ahead and start this demo for a character freeze using Premiere Pro. So character freeze effect. So you're going to go ahead and open up Premiere Pro. Make sure that you have downloaded these three assets in the assignment. So there's this MP4 and then two paint splatters. This one's the main one we'll be using, but this you can download in case you want to add it for extra pizzazz. So I'm going to go ahead and come back to Premiere Pro. You're going to hit New Project. Project name should be changed to Freeze Effect or whatever will help you remember the project name. Project location is important. You're going to go to Location, choose Location, and make sure you choose your USB. So for mine, it would be, let's pretend this one's my USB. And let's call this oops, this does not exist. Okay, we'll just choose this. Select folder. There we go. And then you're just going to hit create. Right. If yours does not look like this, you can go to window up at the top, workspaces, and select editing. You might not have this one, so I'll just close it. So I'll show you guys how I got it. It should look something like this. So go to your Finder. Remember, Finder on a Mac is the little happy face in your dock. And you're going to select all of these and then just drag and drop it into your project panel. Awesome. So now we're going to go ahead and take this MP4 here and then just drag and drop it into our timeline. Right, so you want to go ahead and kind of scrub your timeline to see the perfect timing for that freeze to happen. So I think somewhere around right here works for me. In your tools panel, which is this guy right here, you're going to select the razor tool or the letter C on your keyboard to cut. And you're going to use this playhead here as your reference. So I'm going to cut here. Then I'm going to go back to my selection tool. All right, perfect. Once you have that, I'm actually going to cut this to about 15 seconds. Oh, before I do that, let's right click. You're going to do add frame hold because it's going to freeze here. And now I'm going to take this to about 15 seconds or so. Let's do 15 and 30. Close enough. Okay, cool. So far, so good. All right. With this here, I'm going to minimize this for now. If you hold the Alt Option key on your keyboard, Alt Option, and then you are going to left click to drag a copy of this same clip up at the top here. So now there should be two. Right, so just like Photoshop, just like Photoshop, Premiere Pro also has layer masks per se. So with the top copy selected, you're going to look for effects control over here. If you don't see it anywhere in your panels, you can go to Window and select Effects Control. But you're looking for opacity, expand this, and you're looking for the free draw Bezier tool. So you're going to go ahead and again, make sure you have the top layer selected. You're going to click on this tool here. You have mask 1 selected, and you're going to come to your footage here. And I want to do 100%. Now be careful not to use your scroll wheel to move up or down. It's kind of annoying. We'd have to go in here and change settings, but you're going to see scroll options up here. And I just want to be zoomed in because we're going to trace around this character or this person. So as best as you can, you are going to create an outline around it, or a mask basically. If you left click and hold, it creates these curved lines here. And I can Command Z to undo that. Remember, the Alt Option key also allows you to change these handles here. Okay. And you can actually like zigzag to go with the hair. I just found this to be a lot shorter for me to do. Alt Option, drag this in. And I actually want you to take your time with this part. Feel free to fast forward if you need to. Okay, we're near the end and you do have to close it off. So I'm just going to click right where I started, come back to fit. You should see it all around. Now, if you have extra stuff, you're going to be doing your own, but say like there's extra stuff you want to add, you'll just click on the pen tool again and you'll see another layer that says mask 2, mask 3, however many you add, you'll have copies there for you to see. And you can come back and even like edit the main one if you messed up. Okay, next up with this one here, or if you have multiple, you want to change the mask feather to be 0. This is just for the effect that we're doing. It looks better to have 0 feather. Once you change that, we're going to go ahead and start animating and keyframing this still here. So to keyframe, you see these little stopwatches next to certain options. This is basically to help keyframe. So we're going to do the position and scale. So towards the beginning here, I'm going to go ahead and toggle on position and scale, and you'll see keyframes have been dropped. And then you want to kind of move forward a little bit, and here we're going to start changing the position and the scale. Let's say like we'll zoom in and kind of shift it over, but this is going to be completely up to you. So if you hover over the edge till you see these like little double arrows and then left click and hold and then move your mouse left or right, you'll see that the number starts to change, or you can actually come in here and type in an amount and see what that looks like. But again, that's going to be completely preference. You might also like it off to the left side. So this is your x-axis, and then so left and right, and then up and down here if you wanted to. But let's say you like that, or you want it completely to the right like so. All right, something like that. And then I'm going to grab these here and just move them towards the end of the frame. You can use this here to toggle. All right, that looks about good to me here. Again, this part is all preference. Right, next up we might have distracting background elements, as we can see. So we're going to select this bottom copy here, and you're going to look for effects. Mine's right next to the project file. Again, if you don't see it, you can go to Window and look for effects. And we want to type and look for the Gaussian blur. It should come up unless I'm misspelling it. Oh my god, I forgot an S. Okay, Gaussian blur right here. You're going to drag and drop it to this bottom layer here. You'll notice that in your effects control you have this popping up. We want to change the blurriness to 100%. And if repeat edge pixels is not selected, make sure it is. And we also want to apply a black and white as well. Right, perfect. Okay, so this is what we have so far. And just to be safe, let's do a file save to save our progress. All right, before we add effects to this layer here, we're going to have to go ahead and nest it. So you're going to hit right click and look for nest. You can leave this as nested sequence 01 if you'd like, or you can rename it to whatever you'd like. All right, and now we're going to start adding an effect to this. So look for radial shadow and drag and drop it to the top layer. And we can finally see it here. So we don't actually want a shadow, but this is good in case you want to see or know how to add a shadow. All right, so in our effects control here, we're looking for this effect right here. Sorry, I wasn't on the right layer. The radial shadow. So we want to change the opacity to 100% because it's going to be more of an outline than a shadow. And then the shadow color we'll change to white. Go. And you're basically going to play with the light source, the X and the Y, so it lines up pretty well with the character's outline. This one's kind of weird because it's almost inverted. All right, something like that. You can try your best to line it up. You can even hit resize layer to see if that helps. Projection distance, I'm going to change this to about 5 to see if that kind of helps. And again, it doesn't actually have to be perfect. There we go. Right, next we're going to add those PNG like paint splatter images. So we can go back to our project file here, look for the paintbrush ink. And actually before I do that, I want to move this actually up a couple layers. I can resize this now that I'm not tracing anything. To about right here. Oops, I did not mean to change the start time there. There we go. So we're going to move the paintbrush ink splatter right above this layer here, and then go ahead and expand it to reach the length, the end length here. So now if we hover over here, you'll see that the paint brush is showing right in between these two layers. I actually want to rotate this 180. Oops, I have the wrong layer selected. There we go. You can also click on it in your, oh no, you can't. Probably because it's too big. But you can go ahead and kind of adjust it for now. We're going to end up keyframing this too, so. Oh no, I'm getting that bar. Okay. So that about right there. And we want to add some text as well. You'll see that I'm getting a bar kind of popping up because this right here is having a hard time rendering out. That's perfectly normal. Okay, now we want to add some text. So in our tools panel, we're going to click on the type tool, left click once up here, and let's say I want to name this the enter artist, because I don't think photographer is going to fit in this little area here. All right, I want to bring up the controls to change this type here. So I can go to Window and Essential Graphics, and it'll bring up this menu right here. So under the text tab, you can go ahead and change this to whatever font that you want to choose. And you can also change the size of the text. Something like that. And let's say I want to change this part to be just slightly smaller. I can just select it, move this slightly down, highlight both of these so I can adjust the space in between the lines of text. Something like that is fine. So you have all of these options here that work the same way with like little sliders. Grab my move or my selection tool and kind of adjust it to there. If you want to change the color, you can change the fill and the stroke color. I would leave background and shadow alone. But let's go ahead and kind of align everything to match. I'm going to extend this to about there. And maybe resize this ever so slightly. Okay. And I'm going to move this down here. So you should have the nested sequence, the text, and then the paintbrush ink splatter. Awesome. Let's go ahead and start changing colors. Now, this is the optional part here. If I wanted to add an additional layer, I can drag and drop the paint splatter here to extend it. And then, oops, we can kind of scale, something like that. But again, this part is completely optional, so I'm just going to delete that for now. Okay, so again, let's go ahead and change the color of this stuff. To do that, we're going to look for effects and change to color. And drag and drop it to the paintbrush ink here. Now we're going to select from here, click this little eyedropper and click on the black. And the two, let's say I want to do the blue of her sweater. Oh, was that not? Oh, my bad. And then where it says change, you're going to change hue, lightness, and saturation. There we go. Now if I wanted to make this darker, I totally can as well, but you know what, I'm looking at this text like I might want to change and add a stroke to it. Totally optional too. Okay. But that's basically how you change the color. So if you did have the ink splatters, you would do the same thing. You would drag and drop change to color to that PNG, and you select the from color, right, with the eyedropper, and then what color you want to change it to, and you want to select hue, lightness, and saturation under change. Okay, now let's go ahead and start animating both of these here. So we'll start with the paintbrush splatter over here. Let's actually start here, right in the beginning, and we want to do, let's say, position, scale, and rotation. And let's say we want to start the scale off pretty big, but not that big. Something like about here. Rotating is completely optional, so I'll let you guys know now. Let's say it starts like that. Okay, do 165 and then it'll end at like 180. And the position, we might not even have to keyframe position, but it's there just in case. Right, and then I will drag this over towards the end. Let's say there. Okay, and then now let's scale this back down. $180 will be the rotation at the end. Right. Let's do something like that. 98. Okay, so now you have your first keyframes and your end keyframes. And now if I play this back, it starts large and then we kind of zoom out and fix the rotation. Perfect. Now let's move on to the text. Okay, so the artist. At the beginning, same thing, maybe we'll start off big. So I'm going to turn on position, scale, and rotation. And let's do scale first. There we go. How big or small here is completely up to you too. I'm just kind of messing around here. And then we'll take it towards the end. Went too far there. Okay, I want to say there's good. Now I'm going to basically fix this again. Oof. There we go. Make sure I'm on the text layer. Scale we'll set to 100. Might have done too dramatic of a rotation or movement in general. Okay. God, these sliders really get to me. Okay. So now something like that. So all I was doing, guys, was messing with position, scale, rotation in this last keyframe here. So if I play this back, right, cool. So That looks good there. If you haven't, do another file save. Okay, and now we can kind of start nesting everything, and I'm kind of concerned here that they're not all lining up. They are not. Okay. Going to just kind of stretch everything to line up. Awesome. Can shorten this. Now I'm going to select all of these. So I'm just left clicking and dragging down, and you want to nest these. Oof. This one right here is getting to me on the light source. Okay, hope that didn't mess up anything. No, it's fine. Okay. Sorry. Box select all of these. Right click. And you're going to hit nest. Okay. And we're just going to do a dip to white here. I hope I did not mess up anything. Okay. So we are looking for dip to white. Drop it somewhere in the beginning here. And then you want to go ahead and kind of click on this little transition here. And where it says alignment, you want to do center at cut. And it might be slow to play again because we have to render this out. So if you hit your enter key, this will pop up and it'll start rendering, so we can kind of play this back a little bit better. Okay, once it finishes rendering, you should be able to see it. I don't know what that, darn that black line. Okay. So it should look something like this at the end. We're going to go ahead and export. It shouldn't pop up at the end. You're going to leave this as is, and you're going to hit export because Media Encoder isn't working for us in our lab. And then this is what you'll submit for the live demo exercise. You guys are going to create your own. So you'll get into either groups of 2, right? Or pick a friend, pick a shoulder buddy. You can do your own video if you'd like. It's just going to be hard to film yourself to create something like this. But you'll create the similar effect, only you'll put either your name or funny nickname, something that's just school appropriate for this effect here. Right, you'll get the little successful message at the bottom. And the final should be, is this the final? There we go. I can see that mine probably took way too long, so I could have probably shortened this. And again, that's all up to you guys if you want to keep it this long or if you want to shorten it and make it like a quicker, more dynamic effect. But let me know if you guys have any questions. Make sure you also keep saving your Premiere Pro file in case you want to go back in there and edit anything else. To keep editing, by the way, guys, you just have to double click. So this is our regular timeline. You double click and you go into the nested sequence, and you basically keep double clicking to go and edit more in depth these nested animations. That's all, guys.